Welcome to News XII, Rome's first authority, with childlike Cornelius Gaius, all-knowing Dr. Aurelia Octavia, sexy Sextus Saipe, macho Mr. Magnus, and of course, colossal Cody.
And I'm Cornelius Gaius. Welcome to the program. First, let's hear from our very own Mr. Magnus with our daily traffic report.
Thanks, Cornelius, and good evening, Rome. I'm Mr. Magnus here with your daily traffic report. Our first incident today comes at the intersection of Nepos and Bos, where two young street racing charioteers lost control of each of their chariots and caused a rather large wreck. This incident is still being cleared, and it has impaired both lanes of traffic, making them impassable. Farther south comes a story from the intersection of Fragor and Kylo, where two young bandits held up a local transport wagon. And while no one was hurt and nothing was damaged, traffic is still being held up as the police and the victims debate insurance issues. There was also a story coming from farther north on Bos, south going, where two local men got into a small fender bender with their chariots. While no one was hurt, this does bring up the questions of the faultiness of Toyota's latest brakes. Back to you.
Thanks, Mr. Magnus. Now let's hear from the all-knowing Dr. Aurelia Octavia with the forecast for tonight and tomorrow morning's weather patterns.
Thanks, Corny. I'm Dr. Aurelia with your weather. And so this evening we had some thunderstorms over here, but they headed over to the Adriatic Sea, and we had perfect weather in Rome, as you saw today. It's going to continue until tomorrow, highs in the upper 70s, lows in the 60s. And in Sardinia, we also had perfect weather. 78 was the high today, and tomorrow it will be around 77. In Sicily, there was also fantastic weather, great for picnicking. And so tomorrow, you should go out and see your family. Thank you.
And now for the news. A local man was found dead in his winery this morning after being struck down by the all-powerful Jupiter. It is suspected that the same man intruded on one of Jupiter's choice mortal concubines. We will bring you more of the story as it unfolds. In happier news, a local woman successfully gave birth to a set of unhealthy octuplets just this afternoon. The healers on hand are doing their best to ensure the children's survival. Such a birth is the first in the history of the empire, but such a cause of a birth is under investigation. And now let's hear from Sextus Saipe with our sports.
Thanks, Cornelius, and I'm Sextus Saipe with your sports. Tonight we'll be focusing mostly on the chariot races, as it was the end of the final race of the season today. In last place is the white team with a dismal 3 wins. In third place, we have the red team with only 7 wins. Then in second place is the green team with 18 wins. And then in first place, my favorite team, the blue team with 21 wins. And tomorrow is a happy day for you Gladiator fans. We will be starting up the Gladiator season, so get ready to fight. And thank you. Back to you, Cornelius.
Thank you, Sextus, for a great report. However, despite the exciting events of today, the truly major news comes from the northern coast of Africa in the city of Carthage. The third of these incredibly long-lasting Punic Wars has finally drawn to a close. These conflicts that have embroiled both Carthage and our native Rome have finally come to a resolution. We now take you to our own special correspondent, Chloia Porcena, who is standing by with a thorough recap of the events of the first of the 2 Punic Wars. Over to you, Chloia.
And now, an exclusive interview. And loser of the Second Punic War. What do you have to say about all of this?
The war was wrong. The Romans should never have won.
Well, I can't exactly agree with that. What do you think you could have done differently?
Our supplies shouldn't have only come from Spain. It should have been anticipated that Scipio would have gone back to Africa. It was that Scipio Africanus who did this.
How do you feel now that the war is over and the Romans are so blatantly victorious?
The Carthaginians will always be victorious, no matter if we lose the war. Still, it's a shock that we could have been beaten by you.
What made you so sure that you could have won?
Well, we are so obviously superior. We should have been able to beat you easily. We had elephants and cavalry and allies. Scipio got lucky.
What made you decide to use those elephants, especially when so many of them died on the Alps?
They were a great idea, because Scipio had nothing so great to come out with. They would have totally trampled the Roman forces. Sadly, most of them never made it.
What do you think you'll do now?
Oh, I think I'll take up knitting or something that doesn't have a winner. Or a loser. But I've also vowed revenge upon the Romans, and there is nothing you can do that will save you from total destruction.
Once again, I'm here with Hannibal. Thanks, Hannibal. Back again, this time with the famous Scipio.
Great, thanks for having me. It's a pleasure.
So tell me, what was it like to have beaten the Carthaginians?
It was the greatest. We have control over them now.
That is fantastic news. So tell me, how did you defeat the Carthaginians?
Well, when I found out they were going to attack from the north, I headed to Carthage to change the battlefield, and the rest is just history from there.
Rome gladly thanks you. Do you know your new nickname?
Yes, I do. I very much appreciate it. Scipio Africanus. I think it fits me pretty well, considering I did conquer Africa and everything.
I'm sure the Roman people feel the same way. Thank you for your time today, Scipio.
Glad I came.
The Third Punic War followed, but was hardly even a war. In the recent years, Carthage refused to move inland, so we, the Romans, decided to lay siege on the city of Carthage. For 3 years, from 149 BC to 146 BC, the Carthaginians held off the Romans, but when the Romans finally breached the city walls, all hell was let loose. For 17 days, the city of Carthage was burned to the ground, and afterwards, the ground sown with salt. The population of Carthage was drastically reduced from 250,000 to 50,000. The remaining survivors of this massacre were sold into slavery. That concludes this edition of News XII. Thank you for watching, and good night.